Welcome to Hendricks Chapel at Syracuse University. This is Music and Message, a weekly series that features musical performances and spoken reflections from a diversity of religious and spiritual perspectives. These gatherings seek to invite all learners into the fullness of life. And as we begin, we acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral lands Syracuse University now stands. Our theme for Music and Message this semester is Beauty, Brokenness. In the midst of unprecedented times, we explore the ways in which beauty can emerge from brokenness, and also how brokenness can be found within that which is often deemed to be beautiful. By exploring such paradox and tension, participants explore the roles of joy, grief, celebration, and sorrow within the human experience. Our speaker for today is the Reverend Dr. Gail Rena. Appointed in 2007 as the Lutheran chaplain at Hendricks Chapel of Syracuse University, Rena provides pastoral counseling, spiritual direction, and various programs focused on accompanying young adults to discover their gifts and their talents, with an emphasis on leadership development and vocational discernment. As director of Campus Connect, Rena also provides an assortment of interfaith programs that offer community engagement and service learning opportunities through cross-cultural dialogue, environmental sustainability, and community service. Prior to serving at Syracuse, Chaplain Rena served at the State University of New York at Buffalo, and she holds degrees from Gettysburg College, Yale University Divinity School, and George Washington University. Thank you for being with us both today and every day, Chaplain Gail Rena. Today, as we explore our theme through song, we give thanks for those who are participating musically in our program today. Sophia Holtzberry, Maddie McDermott, Blake Moyer, Ben O'Connell, and Liamna Pastana Roche. As always, we give thanks for the staff of Hendricks Chapel who are working to bring this program to thousands of students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends across the country and world. And of course, we are grateful to Dr. Annie Laver and Dr. Pepe Calvar from the Setner School of Music and the College of Visual and Performing Arts here at Syracuse University for their partnership and for their leadership. To all gathered both in person and online, we thank you for being with us. And as we begin our first song titled Avinu Melkeinu, translated into English as Our Father, Our King, is a traditional Hebrew melody which we offer with respect to our Jewish community and the observance of Yom Kippur. Thank you.
I would like to begin with sharing with you the reading upon which my reflection is based. From the wilderness of Sin, the whole congregation of the Israelites journeyed by stages, as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. The people quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses said to them, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord?" But the people thirsted there for water, and the people complained against Moses and said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt? To kill us and our children and livestock with thirst?" So Moses cried out to the Lord, "What shall I do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord said to Moses, "Go on ahead of the people and take some of the elders of Israel with you. Take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will be standing there in front of you on the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and the water will come out of it so that the people may drink." Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. He called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled and tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" So ends the reading. We were waiting in the Rochester, Minnesota airport to board our plane back east. My mom had a successful full hip replacement at the Mayo Clinic after 7 years of pain and her leg twisted due to less up-to-date MRI technology available to her in Philadelphia. This trip to the Mayo Clinic was a follow-up. Sitting across from us was another mother with her child, a young boy. I asked her if she was on the way to the clinic. She said they too were on their way home after a follow-up, but she could not say enough about the Mayo Clinic. Her son had a rare disease that required refrigerated medicine. The boy's father was an officer in the U.S. Navy stationed in Sri Lanka. And when the tsunami hit the island nation on December 26, 2004, the Mayo Clinic packaged his medicine in dry ice and had it shipped by military transport to the base. There was no electricity for weeks in the wake of the storm, but the Mayo Clinic's extensive database and commitment to their patients made sure this child's life-saving medicine was immediately available. Was that a miracle? Yes, I would say, and no. Was the water flowing out of a rock in the middle of the desert a miracle? Yes, I would say, and no. It was medical science, data science, client service, and human compassion that delivered medicine to a vulnerable child. But for the child and his parents, it was a miracle that the delivery came together in that crisis. Terry Fretheim, professor at Lutheran Seminary, says the Exodus story of water flowing in the desert is not simply a supernatural phenomenon. Water flows under rock formations in the Sinai desert. Yet it was a miracle they found the water to drink before it was too late. Death from dehydration takes only 3 days in any climate. In the extreme heat of the desert after exertion, it can take less than a day. And it was a miracle that the frightened Israelites suffering from PTSD did not stone Moses before he could find water and a way to reassure him that he did not intend to use them for his own purposes, as Pharaoh had done. There had been plenty of water in Egypt. The river delta provided rich soil and trading routes that brought luxury items to eat and to admire, even if as slaves they could never hope to own them. In their new life, they were free from slavery, but also from dependence on their masters for survival. They didn't trust their leader not to betray them, and they didn't trust themselves to be capable of surviving on their own. Miracles or not, in both stories, life and death was at stake. Time was short and anxiety high. Salvation required extraordinary human effort. Salvation came through the intervention of others than the primary players. Prayer tipped the balance. It was questionable whether conditions on the ground in Sri Lanka would allow a safe landing, but the boy's mother shared with me that she met the pilot and he told her he prayed and was confident as the plane with its specially packaged meds took off. It's hard to understand how the Israelites continued to complain even after their firsthand experience of God's mighty acts helping free them from slavery. But a recent PBS special describing the polarization among Americans shows that anxiety blocks our ability to listen, and especially our ability to change our opinions. In fact, when presented with facts opposed to strongly held opinion, people will deepen their commitment to their previous conviction and accuse those presenting the facts of lying. Moses had no idea what he was going to do until he complained to God. Instead of trying to convince them, God led Moses to understand he must show them that God was still with them. Andrea Portia Young writes in her commentary, Moses had to cross over in front of the people, and in so doing became vulnerable to their anger, fear, and insistence, and see the need written upon their bodies and in their faces, and have to confront and respond to the magnitude of their thirst. A pilot risks his own life for the sake of a child. This is beauty emerging from brokenness. This is a miracle. The Mayo Clinic's advanced medical system is a miracle. Syracuse University's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic comes close to being rated as a miracle. I have no question that God has the power to interrupt the ordinary natural processes of creation. But those natural processes through which our bodies heal and through which we are capable of love and service to others are themselves miraculous. I have no question that God works wonders, and that the Israelites escaping from slavery in Egypt had firsthand experience of God's mighty acts. But I think our God prefers to empower us to be the miracle workers, like he did with Moses in the story from Exodus we heard today. Arriving in an arid land full of rocks, Moses was afraid those who had followed him there would pick the rocks up and use them to pummel him to death in their fear. Yet after prayer, Moses faced the people, swallowed his pride, and asked them for their help. This was a miracle. He let go of his claim as their exclusive leader and enlisted elders from each tribe, extended family, affinity group, political party, caucus. Together, they went in search of a source of water. They did not go alone. God had instructed Moses to take the staff he had used to strike the Nile. And God promised him, "When you reach Horeb, I will stand before you on the rock. And when you strike the rock, water will flow so that people may drink." It is instructive that our reading ends with Moses naming the place where this miracle occurred, not for water flowing in the desert, but for the people's quarreling and questioning, is God still with us? Tomorrow is Yom Kippur, the highest holy day in Judaism, the Day of Atonement, the day when the faithful pray for forgiveness for the wrongs they have suffered and the wrongs they have done. A day when they remember the prayers and sacrifices the high priest would perform when the temple stood. First, confessing his own sins, then the sins of all the priests, his clan, and finally, the sins of every member of the community. It is a holy day observed by Jews all around the world, and many who are not regularly committed to worship observe this day. It is a day when the faithful do absolutely no work. A day of fasting from food and from water. It is known as the Sabbath of Sabbaths. The Lord is always among us, but unless we keep Sabbath, we will end up with dry, scorched land where only the few have fresh, clean water to drink. Would that all God's children would fast from water for one day every year in the context of self-reflection, confession, and prayer for God's help to save us. According to the journal Nature Climate Change, in less than 30 years, 25% of the planet will experience serious drought. UNICEF reported in 2017 the estimate that by 2040, 1 in 4 of the world's children under 18, 600 million in all, will be living in areas of extreme high water stress. According to water.org, an estimated $260 billion is lost globally each year due to the lack of fresh water and sanitation. On maps that display these facts and projections, both the United States and Australia are among the countries which will be most severely affected. We are clearly in crisis. We are in need of miracles. We cry out, is God among us or not? Miracles come when we keep the Sabbath, when we dare to face the issues that confront us, when we stop our round of activity long enough to stand before our Maker with no excuses. When we thank God for our blessings, when we admit our greed and our fears, God listens and meets us in our need, accepting, forgiving, and showing us what we can do so that not only our loved ones, but all God's children have medical care and water to drink. We have all the resources we need to meet our 21st century crisis. Miracles come when we keep the Sabbath. I know this is true because I have the privilege of being a chaplain, and I meet the miracle workers each semester. For example, there is Tom, who after watching the documentary our campus student group showed, Blue Water, decided to change his career goal from charting directional maps to mapping aquifers in developing countries. And Joan, who knew from her first internship that she would dedicate herself to a career as a public defender. Debbie Thomas, in her sermon entitled God in the Dock, God on Trial, says, what the Israelites really yearned for, what we really yearn for, is not to know that God is out there in the cosmos. It's God right here in the messy particulars of our lives. We ask again and again, because we need to know again and again, is God among us now and now and now and now? Is God among us or not? It's the only question that matters. To ask it is to register our need, our yearning, and our hope. To ask it is to journey into radical freedom, knowing that the God of both wilderness and water has compassion enough for our questions. Today, on the eve of Yom Kippur, I dare you to ask the question. I charge you, I entreat you, I dare you to keep Sabbath, to open your heart and mind to God, admitting you do not know how to cope with the issues we all need to face. Keep Sabbath one day each week, or one day each month, or at least one day this year, because miracles come when we keep the Sabbath. Amen.
Hello, my name is Liamna Pastana, and the first song that I was playing, it wasn't a classical guitar, it was a modern piece called Sad Song, Canción Triste. It's from a composer, a Cuban composer, very important, mostly during the avant-garde in 1960s in Cuba. Now, as you see, I'm changing the guitar. I'm gonna play a guitar that is very old. It's from 17th century. This is the guitar that was called the Spanish guitar, and it was played during 17th, 18th, and even in some part of the 19th century. I'm gonna play for you now a fandango. It was a very important piece in Spain and also in Latin America. And you will see many flamenco ideas in this kind of pieces. So I'm gonna combine two fandangos today. One is a regular fandango, and then at the end is one fandango that is called Fandango Indiano or Indian Fandango. Sorry, I changed the mask. Because now I'm going to sing. Okay. And now is La verdad de perogrullo. This is a Spanish phrase that is used in many poems, in many tales, even in Quixote, Don Quixote de la Mancha. It's a phrase that is used when you are saying something that is obvious. So in this case, it's this guy that is in love with this woman, but she is not paying attention to him, and it's very obvious.
A blessing to summon rejoicing, inspired by the 126th Psalm. written by Jan Richardson in her book titled Circles of Grace, a book of blessings for the seasons. A blessing to summon rejoicing. When your weeping has watered the earth, when the storm has been long, and the night and the season of your sorrowing, when you have seemed an exile from your life, lost in the far country, a long way from where your comfort lies, when the sound of splintering and fracture haunts you, when despair attends you, when lack, when trouble, when fear, when pain, when empty, when lonely, when too much of what depletes you and not enough of what restores and rests you. Then let there be rejoicing. Then let there be dreaming. Let there be laughter in your mouth and on your tongue shouts of joy. Let the seeds soaked by tears turn to grain, to bread, to feasting. Let there be coming home.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. And give you peace. And give you peace. And give you peace. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and be gracious. The Lord be gracious, gracious